overcame it. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny. A question for you, Shaji. Challenge you had at work and how you overcame it.
Challenge we as a company faced was the phenomena of all the fires happening in the country, where our core business cladding as an industry was at risk. So there was this thought process going on where the cladding is a flammable material. It's a risky material to have on the cladding, and there should be some kind of a ban on the product itself. So we dealt with that, and we dealt with that by bringing in new technologies, bringing in the fire-rated panels, awareness, right from working from the authorities. And today, we're very happy to say that the building code of the national regulation, the UAE Fire Code, has been amended, and the cladding industry is now considered as a safe product. So that's been the approach. I hope you have answered your question.
My name is Almasa. I'm a brand strategy advisor. I would like to know what is your next step and how do you see your expansion globally, if you have any other targets than the continent you have mentioned.
If I understand your question, you're saying what's the next step for MULK Holdings?
Yes.
As part of our expansion program?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you.
And globally speaking also, not only
Sure,
locally
of course.
speaking. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
If you take the cladding business, which is a core business, now we are expanding in terms of increasing our network around the world. And also, I mean, it's just a matter of coincidence that today we ventured into corporate identity programs. Means international brands like the Jaguars and the Land Rovers have this program of refurbishing the entire showrooms around the world. So we're focusing on that kind of programs. And then that's on the building industry. Bringing in the highest technologies into fire-rated composites. That's another expansion. On the healthcare, we are expanding the existing businesses. So most of our companies now are more or less on the growth path. And the latest, we've also gone into F&B. We've taken the Hardee's food chain into India and Africa. So just a few of them that are part of expansion plans.
Thank you. Do you also target, for instance, the American market or some?
Beg your pardon?
Do you also target the American market or the other continents that you mentioned? Because you mentioned China, for instance, which is definitely an emerging market. But do you visualize an expansion elsewhere?
Yeah, our focus will now be in the North American, South American markets. This focus will come into play because the company has just won the contract to do the Jaguar and the Land Rover showrooms all over the world. And then, so it gives us an incentive. We already have, hundreds of showrooms in North America and South America. So we'll move in there as the business to execute. And then that's going to be the next expansion program.
Hi, good evening. My name is Asif. You're already into panels, Alubond panels, and solar energy. How difficult it is to combine both these so that you have solar panels, incorporated in your Alubond panels, so that you have a lot of area covered up for the buildings.
Yeah. Technologies on a facade of a building is a mature technology now, because you do have self-laminating solar panels, which you actually paste on part of the facade, and you can have the solar energy production on that. So yes, to answer your question, the existing cladding can be turned into a solar energy producing panels as well.
So when will that be available then?
It's available in the world market. Only thing is we don't do that because we don't manufacture those thin film solar panels, but technology is available. For us, you see, our value in the solar energy comes more from not the photovoltaic panels, but more from the parabolic trough technologies. But now this is a technology where you use mirrors to reflect sun onto a settled tube. So we have this is more for mass project like megawatt size projects. The photovoltaic, as you know, can be small. You can power a home or partial building. So we don't actually do photovoltaic. We do the thermal solar actually.
Thank you.
I'm just curious to know, what is your take on how we can better harness solar energy here in the UAE? I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? This keeps coming up in discussions. I hear mixed feedback from people I talk to in the industry saying we could be doing so much more, but the pace of change is moving slower than they would like. What is your take on that?
I think if you take globally, the success of the solar program comes from a government policy to incentivize and encourage investors. Now the UAE lacks from a firm solar policy. Now if you take India, now any investor can go put up the solar project and the government will buy the power back at a certain rate, basically. I think once that comes in, and then the government, the investors will be encouraged. Now at the moment, the UAE government are doing a lot. There are a lot of programs where the government directly is installing solar projects. But then once you bring an incentivized program where the investor makes money, that's where the real growth of any program comes in. I think that's where we like.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Evelyn Farah. As a boss, do you consider yourself to be tough or are you a soft touch? What do you expect from your employees? I'm sure you do manage a lot of, staff in your companies. And what type of leadership do you believe in? What has been the most challenging situation you have ever had dealing with your staff?
Please, I like that to be more specific, yes.
Okay,
yes.
so I think she wanted to know how you are as a boss, how you deal with your employees, and the most challenging situation you faced with an employee.
Okay, now I already answered before, I would like my staff to tell how I am with them rather than me telling how I'm.
So pick someone, I will go and ask them.
So I've got my senior managers here, so maybe they can answer. Mr. Rao, maybe? Rao is the Director of Global Operations, or Saad.
Okay.
To tell something about Shaji is something. Okay. No, it's okay. No, I'm not afraid of him. I'm just a very charismatic man, a very, very courageous guy, I would say. Okay, very courageous, charismatic, never gives up. Huh? Whatever, even if it's going to fail, no, let it fail. Let us see what will happen. Let's take the risk. He's a man who takes risks and has been successful just taking risks. There's one more thing what I have to say is that I would like to say something, yeah.
Oh, you came prepared.
No, I just want to ask him a question. She already asked the question. Okay. Actually, I want to ask him what he wants to, what he looks at from an employee. What he looks at from an employee. What he wants an employee to do. Yeah, expect from an employee. That's one question. Another question I want is, what exactly excites him in life and also in business? What excites him in life?
We'll add to that. When is he getting his bonus? He wants to add that
let me deal with the ladies. How I feel about my employees is truly I feel they're family, part of the family. I feel responsible about them. I feel that we need to take care of their needs, both emotional and material, both. That's very important. And then the very success of the company and the growth is all because our people who are with us need to feel they own the business. We need to make them as the stakeholders, basically. That's the feeling, and I think we try and continue with that as much as possible. Now, your second question, now I think, let me explain. Now, we as an organization, right, have empowered our managers and the directors almost totally. So the day-to-day problems and the issues which come in, they really have the authority and the ability both to solve. So that gets solved, which is a regular situation. But then you do have sometimes situations where your top talent wants to leave, and that's a challenging situation for you, because you don't want your talent to go. And that's where we get involved, either me or my son or my wife at a senior level, and then sit down one-on-one and say, okay, let's talk, you know? Is there something that we can value you? Then yes, please stay. But then if you're not able to give the value the market has for you, then it's only fair we let the person go and let the person grow. So that's been the philosophy. And I think that is so far worked for us. I hope that answers your question. Thank you. Okay, now you now.
What really excites you in life?
What attracts me in life? So they're laughing there. So
Do they know the answer?
no, for me, I think a challenge attracts me. Challenge of creating something different and making it happen is a real attraction. So that's from a business point of view.
Okay. Any other questions over there?
Okay, so Shaji, two parts of the questions. Okay, and I hope this question I'm asking very specifically, maybe this is good for even everyone to learn. What's your, what would you advise a young entrepreneur who would like to start his business, and what would be your advice? You've actually done a really, you've built a company which is $2 billion. That's one part of the question, and I hope I'm not grilling you here. But the second part of the question is, yes, an entrepreneur journey is a very challenging one. So you start with maybe the first phase is you probably reach the first 25, 50 million. It's a different thing. Then you reach 100 million. That's a different thing. Then you go to the $1 billion league, okay, and that's a completely different thing. So what would you advise these guys, especially taking the steps in, including us, okay, because we look up to you for that big figure. What would you advise how to take this journey and how to be part of that?
The first question is easier, because the second is you guys are the gurus of business, so that's very tough for me, but then I'll try and answer. Of course, for a new entrepreneur, I would only say what I believed in. I mean, you need to, identify your passion. What are you good at? And then back your passion 100%. That's the only way that you're going to be successful, is you enjoy what you're doing. And go for it 100%. There's nothing like a 99% in anything that you do. So once you go and back yourself, back your instincts, and then believe in yourself, basically. So once you do that, you see there's nothing like a halfway measure. And the biggest negative, and I think maybe the biggest reason where most people fail, is trying to take the safety part. I wouldn't advise that. Risk taking is part of your life. And then you want to always be on a safety path, then that means you're creating a doubt in yourself. So go for it, back yourself, believe in yourself, and then success is going to come. So that's one part. The second part about this journey and each stage of, say, 25, 50, 100 billion, whatever it is. And I would say number is something nobody's going to see. Not in a lifetime, not a next generation. The best approach is not think about the number. Number's going to come. It's about your vision. Now, if you believe you've got a business module, first you need to have the hunger. Ask yourself. It's not about the size of the company. It's not about the millions, the billions that you earn. It's about, are you happy? Are you content? A successful businessman is the one who's a content and a happy man. It's not a man who has made, I don't know, hundreds of millions or billions or whatever. That's a number. I'm sure all of you will agree this number is a number in the bank. So it doesn't really matter. But then if you are a person who is hungry and who believes that you want to take your business, say, 10 times bigger or 20 times bigger, and that's your vision and your confidence, and then it's a matter of just go for it. Numbers will come. It's not about planning, okay, this year I'm going to be, if I'm 25, next year 50. I personally have no belief in that. Whatever has come as the company has grown, basically.
Thank you, Shaji.
I
So
hope
what you're
that
saying
answers
is money shouldn't be the motive. It's simply just getting out there, doing the best you can, and keep pushing yourself to keep getting better.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think we'll have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions.
This is Jacob Jose, Croharwath. At the beginning, you said, one of your biggest dreams, or rather what really matters to you is to leave the legacy. That means the company has to last maybe, 7 generations, 10 generations, and go beyond. Now, the other part of the same story is the decision-making process. You talked about the day-to-day operation decisions that are taken by the directors and management. So have you at any stage considered completely professionalizing the board of directors? I'm sure there is one. And you also talked about some key decisions getting taken between the family members. So because the fear for a lot of entrepreneurs, as you know, is that entrepreneurial spirit, the DNA, would be lost when you bring in professionalism and then the growth of the company slows down. So have you ever thought of how do you make this trade-off? There are a lot of stories about how companies have done very well when the original founder was in the driver's seat, and then somewhere down the line it lost its momentum because a team of professionals came in. So have you started thinking on those lines, or is there any actions already taken? If you could share some thoughts on what you...
Thank you for that question.
Yeah, I think we're very clear on this, on our aspirations, our vision for the company. Either it's me or my son or my wife, we've talked about it. The company that we want to build should never be owner-centric. It has to be people-centric, and solid corporate governance is what we're looking at. Now, having said that, this can only come with professionals. Now, sure, we as owners would like to be the people who inspire, the people who have more at the strategic level rather than actual execution. So, yes, the thought process has been to bring in a CEO for the group. So we are looking either from the existing team to move somebody up to that level, or bring in an external CEO who understands all the business. And the strategy is very specific, where, yes, we would like to have a team of professionals running the company who don't depend on either me or my next generation, basically.
So if I can chime in, when is the timeline for that? When do you see MULK Holdings taking on an independent CEO?
We haven't really set a firm timeline. It's more of, at the moment, the focus is on consolidating the existing businesses that we have now and having a firm structure independently. At the moment, the way it's running is each of the group companies have an independent leader. Now, we believe we need to make that the first solid base with professionals in each of the groups. That's happening.
So you want to create a culture of governance so that when the CEO comes in, it's smooth.
Yeah, and then it's the whole thing. So probably in the next, definitely within less than 5 years, we hope to have the whole structure of the company.
Okay, and where do you see yourself fitting in then at that point? I assume you remain as chairman, but would you then be, his question was talking about retaining that entrepreneurial spirit in the DNA of the company.
I think more on the advisory level than an operations level, basically. So I'd like to see, sure, the company has been built based on a certain, ideas. So those ideas will continue to flow. And rather than and then we hope with time we'll have enough professionals within the company who also have the culture of, expanding the company.
So they carry MULK values,
Yep.
they know what it stands for and how, okay.
Good evening, my name is Akash, I'm a brand specialist with JC Deco, Now, my question to you is more from an SMB standpoint. When we talk about you as an investor, what are the top 3 things you would look at in terms of someone that's trying to start their own business? They're probably pitching an idea to you, apart from, of course, profit making. What would be the top 3 things you would look at in a person that's looking for investment in their company?
Okay. Now, basically, when we take a decision to get into a new line of business, there's more about the sustainability of that business over a period of time. So we normally look at